Hello, boys. Let us continue the second part of your chapter number 3. The name of the topic is In the Earliest Cities. Boys, so far you have learned the story of Harappa, what was special about these cities, and houses, drains, and streets, how they were built. You have learned this. And below that means of this page, you can see at least two differences between the houses described here and those that you studied about in chapter 2. So this type of question you try it, boys. Now let us see the second part of the chapter in page number 27. Life in the city. A Harappan city was a very busy place. Harappan city, I already told you, it is an ancient city in Punjab during British time. So it was a city which is a very busy place. There were people who planned the construction of special buildings in the city. So people they planned for the construction of special buildings in that city. These were probably the rulers. Rulers means kings who rule the country. It is likely that the rulers sent people to distant lands to get metal, precious stones, and other things that they wanted. And it seems what likely that the rulers they used to send people to far places, to far lands, in order to get metal, precious stones, and other things which they wanted. Means those rulers they wanted. They may have kept the most valuable objects, such as ornaments of gold and silver, or beautiful beads for themselves. Beads means glass, stone, or similar metal like that. Similar material, okay? Then you see, they may have kept means those rulers may have kept the most valuable objects like the ornaments, jewels, gold jewelry, okay, ornaments of gold, ornaments which were made of gold and silver, or beautiful beads for themselves. They used to keep that for themselves. And there were scribes, people who knew how to write, who helped prepare the shields and perhaps wrote on other materials that have not survived. And there were what? Scribes. Scribes means a person who copies out documents. So documents were there. People who knew how to write and who helped prepare the shields and perhaps wrote on other materials that have not survived. Besides, there were men and women, craftspersons, making all kinds of things either in their own homes or in special workshops. Apart from that, there were men and women also craftsperson and making all kinds of things. Craftspersons is the scientists, musicians, artists, rulers, merchants, etc. Making all kinds of things either in their own homes or in special workshop. People were traveling to distant lands or returning with raw materials and perhaps stories. So people they were traveling to far places, to far lands, or returning. They return with raw materials and perhaps stories. Many terracotta toys have been found, and children must have played with these. So there, what happened? Uh, People were traveling. They used to travel to distant lands or returning with raw materials and perhaps stories. Many terracotta toys. Terracotta means a type of fired object. Toys have been found, and children must have played with this. Have a look to the right side of or right margin of your book. Top, a street in Mohenjo-daro with a drain above a well there. Then far left, a Harappan shield. The sign on the top of the shield are part of a script. So you can see here. This is the earliest form of writing known in the subcontinent. It was the earliest known writing known in the subcontinent. Scholars have tried to read these signs, but we still do not know exactly what they mean. So scholars, well qualified persons, they tried to read these signs, but still we are unable to know exactly what they mean. Then again left, terracotta toys are there. Terracotta toys you can see here, which is given. New crafts in the city. Crafts means it is an activity involving skill in making things by hand. So let us look at some of the objects that were made and found in Harappan cities. Let us have a look at some of the objects, some of the things that were made and found in Harappan cities. Most of the things that have been found by archaeologists are made of stone, shell, and metal, including copper, bronze, gold, and silver. So, whatever that means objects were found there in Harappan cities, it was most of these things uh, that have been found by our archaeologists. They were made of stone, shell, and metal, such as a copper, bronze, gold, and silver. Copper and bronze were used to make tools. So copper and bronze metals they were used to make tools, weapons, ornaments, and vessels. So in order to make these things, that means copper and bronze were used. Gold and silver were used to make ornaments and vessels. So gold and silver metals they were used to make ornaments and vessels. Perhaps the most striking finds are those of beads, weights, and blades. So most striking finds. It was found there are what are those? Those of base, weights, and blades. The Harappans also made shields out of stone. Harappans they also made shields which was out of stone. So they used to make it that means of stone. These are generally a rectangular she illustration on page 27 and usually have an animal carved on them. You can see in page number 27 here illustration it has given. The Harappans also made pots with beautiful black designs such as the one shown on page 6. So you can see there in page number 6, boys. The Harappans they also made pots with beautiful black design, such as one of them that means it has shown in on page number 6. Okay, to the left margin of your book, boys, see there top what is there stone weights. Notice how carefully and precisely these weights are shaped. How carefully they shape this. You can notice here. These were made of chert, a kind of stone. Chert, it is a kind of stone. So it was made of that. These were probably used to weigh precious stones or metals in order to uh, see the weight of precious stones or metals it was used. Then see bits. Many of these were made out of carnelian, a beautiful red stone. Carnelian, it is a beautiful red colored stone. The stone was cut, shaped, polished, and finally a hole was bored through the center so that a string could be passed through it. So the stone, this red stone, okay, and the stone was cut in shape and it was polished, and at last a hole was bored through the center of those stone through which a string could be passed. Okay, it was made in such a way. Far right, you see stone blades. Stone blades as given there, far right. Then at the bottom right, embroidered cloth, a stone statue of an important man found from Mohenjo-daro. So important man it was found from Mohenjo-daro shows him wearing an embroidered garment. Embroidered garment is worn by this man. You can see here. So let us continue it. Cotton was probably grown at Mehergarh from about 7,000 years ago. So most probably you see cotton was started to grow in Mehergarh about 7,000 years ago. Actual pieces of cloth were found attached to the lid of a silver vase and some copper objects at Mohenjo-daro. Actual pieces of cloth were it was attached there. It was fixed there to the lid of a silver vase and some copper objects at Mohenjo-daro. Archaeologists have also found spindle hole. Spindle hole means a hole or a small pulley used to weigh a spindle. Faience. Let us see this one also. Faience, okay. You see, it is faience means a glazed earthenware, boys. Unlike stone or shell, that are found naturally. Faience is a material that is artificially produced. Okay, it was produced artificially. A gum was used to shape sand or powdered quartz into an object. So a gum, it was used in order to shape sand or powdered quartz into an object. The objects were then glazed. Glass means they are fitted with panes of glass, resulting in a shiny glassy surface. The colors of the glaze were usually blue or sea green. Color is usually blue or sea green. Faience was used to make beads, bangles, earrings, and tiny vessels. In order to make beads, bangles for wearing, earrings, and tiny vessels. For this purposes, in order to make these things, faience was used. So, boys, there we find in page number 28, archaeologists have also found spindle holes made of terracotta and faience. These were used to spin thread. In order to spin thread, so these were used. Many of the things that were produced were probably the work of specialists. So many of the things which were produced, they were probably the work of specialists. See, specialist here. A specialist is a person who is trained to do only one kind of work. For example, cutting stone or polishing beads or carving shields. Specialist, he know that means a particular thing in a well manner. So a specialist is a person who is trained to do only one kind of work, such as cutting stone or polishing beads. Beads means a small piece of glass, stone, or similar material that is threaded with others to make a necklace, or carving shields. Look at the illustration, page 28, and see how well the face is carved and how carefully the beard is shown. So look at the illustration which is given in page number 28. Okay, here you can what can you see there? And see how well the face is carved and how carefully the beard is sewn. Beard, that means it's shown here. You can see here nicely. This must have been the work of an expert craftsperson. So, this is the activity of an expert craftsperson. Not everybody could have been a specialist. We do not know whether only men were specialists or only women were specialists. So, it was unknown whether men were specialists or women were specialists. Perhaps some women and men may have been specialists. Perhaps here some women and men may have been specialists here. In search of raw materials. In order to search raw materials, let us see. Raw materials are substances that are either found naturally, such as wood or ores of metals, or produced by farmers or herders. Raw materials, they are substances which are either found naturally, so God gifted that, such as wood or ores of metals, or produced by farmers or herders. These are then processed to produce finished goods. So these are then after getting that process to place in order to produce finished goods. For example, cotton produced by farmers is a raw material that may be processed to make cloth. So raw material is here to make cloth. Cotton is the raw material. So as example, cotton, it is produced by farmers. It is a raw material that may be processed in order to make cloth. While some of the raw materials that the Harappans used were available locally, many items such as copper, tin, gold, silver, and precious stones had to be brought from distant places. So, on the other hand, you see some of the raw materials that the Harappans used they were available in the local area locally, and many items, for example, copper, tin, gold, silver, and precious stones, need to be brought from far places, distant places. The Harappans probably got copper from present day Rajasthan and even from Oman in West Asia. Harappans probably they got copper from present day Rajasthan and even from Oman in West Asia. Tin, which was mixed with copper to produce bronze, may have been brought from present day Afghanistan and Iran. Afghanistan, Iran, you know, boys, that means near Pakistan is Afghanistan also. So, most probably that means tin, it was mixed with copper to produce bronze. It may have been brought most probably from present day Afghanistan and Iran. Gold could have come all the way from present day Karnataka and precious stones from present day Gujarat, Iran, and Afghanistan. Gold, the precious metal, it could have come all the way from present day's Karnataka, and precious stones, present day, that means from Gujarat, Iran, and Afghanistan. So let's up to here for today, boys. See you again in the next part of the chapter. Thank you all.